Well, that kind of leads, I guess, to the next topic, is that these recording projects, there's already a history, a discography
Yes.
that exists. Why the extension now to a live performance?
That one's complex to answer, and I'm not sure it's so well defined. Although, if you've participated in any one of these projects, you realize that as a performer, there's this need to not just do music, but to actually communicate it to other people. In other words, there's a sense of inspiration that's inherent in all of this music.
So just drawing some parallels here between the recording and the concert setting, especially from the perspective of a musician, the communication is very one-sided with a recording, is that the communication goes out, but there's no perception, at least initially, of how it's received.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it, because it would be like a musician performing in a sound-deadened room. There's no feedback. If I sit here and play a violin, I expect to hear at least a little echo back of what I've just played. And that is very reassuring to my ear if I'm a performer. And, when you're doing a recording, it's true, they've got the audio feedback, but they don't have the emotional feedback from the audience. Now, let me give you a specific example of that. When we did this last production, we were having our run-through rehearsal. I hate to call it a rehearsal. It's not so much a rehearsal as it is a run-through, because we don't have time with the way that this project works to actually do a real rehearsal. It's a run-through. But while we were doing that, it was going fine. It was going well. Everybody was performing well, and everyone was attentive, and so on and so forth. But when we got out on the stage to do the concert, and we have the downbeat, I couldn't believe how much better the chamber orchestra played, and how much more focused the choir was. Now, if I had to give what factor of improvement it was, I'd say it was 10 times better, at least. And it was very good. But to have the emotional aspect of connecting to the audience is something that
It lends it a focus.
It does.
That is missing when...
And and I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. Music is communication. And you can either talk to the air or an empty auditorium, or you can talk to people and communicate what it is you're trying to say to them.
There's this interesting sense that the performers and the audience both are experiencing the same thing, but from the different side. But you can both say that something very special happened right at this moment, and everyone was palpably aware of that moment that was created, and that sometimes it's very fleeting, and it is very gratifying. I guess there's that temporal nature of that moment, that it's here, it's beautiful, it's flourishing. You don't know how long it's going to last, and the only thing I can say is that is the divine. That is really the presence of God speaking through music in a meaningful way that is connecting beyond just the mechanics of the notes and the sights of the experience. There's something that is going deeper, that is touching our very souls. I guess it's a little foretaste of heaven, to quote one of our elders.
Yeah, there's an interaction that absolutely takes place between performer and audience. And when you have your audience just hanging on every note, scarcely daring to breathe, just hanging on every note, when you're on the stage, you feel that, you sense that, you know that that's there. And some people think it's only the performers giving. No, there's give and take the whole time. And so, you know what? We did the CDs, and it's a very good recording if you can sense that from the audio recording only. And we had some good results. But when you've got the audience there, and so many people request this, can't we do something more? Couldn't we? And so we kind of thought about it, planned the logistics, and we said, we'll try it. Let's see what kind of results we get.
And there's certainly a risk factor with an undertaking like this.
Well, you never know if you're going to fill up the hall. I mean, my hope was always that we'd have as many people in the audience as we have on the stage, and I'm glad we surpassed that. But you never know what you're going to get. You kind of just hang out your shingle and you say, "Come," And we did a little bit of publicity, some radio spots and some graphic advertising posters, etc. Word of mouth is always excellent, and so we were very gratified to be able to put together quite a nice production for a no-name group that we basically are. We filled the auditorium more than 50%, and it seats about 1,200. For that kind of effort to produce that result, I think was amazing. And something else that you said, we were talking about audience reaction. Something else that you don't get off of a recording is we eliminate the stuff that's in between the music, but just the orchestra sitting there and tuning. The oboe plays the A, and then everybody tunes with this. And if you're sitting in the audience, you can feel the anticipation rise.
It's a magical
because
moment.
you hear this, you know that something wonderful is coming. So it's quite interesting to live through that. And that's an aspect of performance, a live performance, that you just don't have with a CD recording, studio style recording, where there is no audience.